Welcome to the Josh Hall Web Design Show. Helping you build better websites and create a web design business that gives you freedom and a lifestyle you love.
Hey everybody, welcome into episode 98. And I have got a very, very cool episode for you in this one, guys. This is actually one that I was going to release a little later, but I decided to get this one out here pretty quickly after we recorded it. Mainly because this is a timely topic, I guess, at any point, but I just think it's super relevant because we're going to be talking with somebody who is a student of mine and somebody who I've seen take tremendous strides in his business over the past year. And as you'll hear in this interview, he's had a lot of mindset shifts that have really helped catapult his business in less than a year. As you'll hear in this episode, he was actually charging less than $500 on average for websites, and now he's charging thousands of dollars on average. So we talk about that, but more importantly, we talk about a really important topic, and that is using obstacles for opportunity. And sounds kind of weird, sounds a little, wishy-washy or maybe something that you'd see in like Success magazine or something. But it's a really important topic because in life, stuff happens. And my guest in this interview, Leo Rees-Evans, who again is an awesome web design student of mine who's killing it with his web design business, has recently gone through something pretty traumatic. He, as you'll hear in this episode, he has suffered with epilepsy, and he had an episode recently where he had a pretty bad seizure, and it was very serious, and it left him thinking a lot about his life and his business. And you're going to hear in this episode a little bit of that story and how he's looking at life and his business differently since just recently having that episode. And I just want to say, hats off to Leo for coming on and for being open about this and transparent. We talk about this, but I just feel like a lot of entrepreneurial podcasts and shows tend to keep stuff pretty surfacey. And we hadn't planned on actually talking about this topic, but I could tell he was so passionate about sharing what he's learned and what he is continuing to learn as he goes through this. And I just think it's super relevant because, as we all know, stuff happens in life. And sometimes big things that happen in life really make you really reevaluate your business. And for me, a lot of you know, my first daughter, when she was born, we spent 56 days in the newborn intensive care. And that experience really reshaped my mind about how I view work and business and providing for my family. And this is exactly what Leo's going through right now as well. So you're going to find so much value from this episode for those of you who just want to be inspired. If you've gone through something or you are looking for some encouragement, I think this is really going to help you. I also think for those of you who haven't yet gone through something, this is going to give you some good things to think about and help you prepare for when inevitably there's a time where you might not be able to work for a little while, whether it's something health related like Leo went through, or whether it was something like I went through with my daughter, or maybe you break your arm and you can't work for a month. And there's a lot of reasons that you want to have some encouragement to help you get through that. And this episode is really going to help you. Now, before we dive in, one thing that Leo talks about in detail throughout this episode is he had went through my business course, and that was one of the things that helped catapult him from charging an average of $500 or less to several thousand or more for his website designs. And if that's you, if you feel like you're finding yourself not having the confidence to charge enough for your web design services, I want to help you with that. And I want to help you raise your average for all of your websites to be several thousand at the starting point. And we can do that through my web design business course. It's helped hundreds of web designers all over the world. It's just been an absolute joy to see some success stories for folks like Leo and others who have learned and implemented what they've learned into their businesses. And I want to help you get there as well. And the really cool thing is you can, no matter where you are in the world and no matter where you are in your business, you can absolutely charge a minimum of $2,000 to $3,000 for your website. So join the course today if you'd like to know more about that and you'd like to see my proven path for running and scaling a web design business. And again, without further ado, here is my man, Leo. Thanks to him for being so open and transparent. And I can't wait to hear how this episode helps you out. Let's dive in. Leo, welcome to the show, man. We're gonna have a different one here because we had a whole different topic in mind, and you and I got to talking before we went live, and we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna talk about something you are literally in the middle of, which I think is super valuable, and that is going from or taking obstacles and turning them into opportunities. So let's dive into that. But before we do, man, do you want to let everybody know where you're based out of and what you do with your web design business?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having me on, Josh. It's really a pleasure to be here. I've listened to so many of your podcasts now. It's kind of a bit of a dream to be here and being live with your fans. I live in Scotland. It's not just Scotland though, on the Isle of Lewis. It's these little islands just off the side of Scotland. I moved up here with my family just over a year ago, and I started my web design business pretty much on an island in the middle of nowhere. So this is going to be an interesting talk because I haven't started up in a city. I've had to generate all my leads and all my clients from an island in the middle of nowhere. So yeah.
Well, you have surprisingly good Wi-Fi too, so that's pretty cool.
That's one of the benefits.
Yeah. Well, I know we'll intertwine a lot of that because I've seen you, really the past year. I think it's about a year ago that you kind of came through some of my podcasts and then got involved in some of my courses. And I saw you on my Facebook on almost every post, and then I started recognizing your name, and then we started conversing, and then to have you through my courses, and then to see you take your business to just a whole nother level within a year is super impressive, man. So just right out of the gate, you should be super proud of what you've done. And like you mentioned,
thanks, Josh.
You're not in the middle of a big city. I feel very fortunate to be in Columbus, Ohio, where business is booming. There's a lot of startup. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. You did a really good job with building your client base virtually and remotely in a lot of ways. So I'm sure we'll factor into that here. But we decided to shift our conversation here because you just went through a traumatic experience. And for anybody watching this on YouTube, you've got a pretty nasty scar above your eye. It's still kind of puffy. We were originally supposed to talk, what was that, a couple weeks ago? And if you're cool with just sharing, I mean, your wife emailed me just a few hours before we were supposed to talk, and she's like, "Hey, Leo had an incident, and we got to reschedule. Do you want to just shed some light on what happened, and then maybe we can talk about, what you're going through right now, literally right now, is reshaping your mind from a business perspective."
Absolutely, and what I'm about to share, I really hope is going to help a lot of you out there that maybe don't have a head start and maybe are going through similar situations in different ways. This scar on my eye here is from an epileptic seizure that I had just 2 weeks ago. It was actually the day that I was going to come on this podcast, and it was really early in the morning, and I woke up in a pool of blood, and it was for the first time in 2.5 years that I'd had a seizure, and I thought I was kind of over this illness by now and on a good amount of medication, and my mindset had completely changed. I was starting to enjoy life without the illness, and it just shows you that you just don't know what's around the corner, and there's many obstacles that can come our way.
So we were talking before we went live. First of all, thank you, man, for being transparent and being open to talk about this. And you just said, I think it's, sometimes I think a lot of business podcasts and authorities stray away from like real life stuff that happens. I want to focus on business and numbers and growth, but life happens. And I think it's really valuable to hear how somebody's gets through and you're in it. You're still getting through this. So you had an episode. I don't know too much about epilepsy at all. One thing that was interesting that we were talking about, what I asked you before we went live was, is it triggered by something? And you had mentioned it's very likely because of some stuff that you were implementing in your life with diet and a new routine. Do you want to dive into that? I mean, we don't know. Obviously, we're not doctors. We don't know for sure. Yeah. But it's certainly all signs point to some drastic changes could potentially have triggered that. And then maybe we can talk about, how that's affected your mind with your business and rethinking about it. But yeah, what kind of led up to this happening just a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, sure, Josh. Well, I think as entrepreneurs and with the struggle of climbing up the entrepreneur mountain, we can kind of dive a bit too much into, we can kind of see ourselves as machines, and we lose the personality in that we're all different. And we see the success stories on social media, and we listen to the audio books, and we want success, and we see this success, and we want that. And that's a great thing in and of itself. But I think sometimes, well, I know myself, you can kind of forget that we are different, and that success can drive us to do things that maybe we shouldn't be doing. And in this case, I heard online that there was this diet where, if you go on this diet, it's called the carnivore diet, and you'll get lots of energy, you'll be able to work harder for longer hours, and you'll be higher performance. And it was really appealing to me, and I thought, it's 30 days, I'll try it. I'm actually on a high dose of epilim for my epilepsy, and that's been controlling my epilepsy for 2.5 years now. The last time I had a seizure, I've had epilepsy since I was 15. And I've never really had to worry about my diet because I never went extreme on it. But I thought this was going to make me be able to work longer hours, sleep better nights, and I implemented a morning routine with it as well, and just went and took this advice from this audiobook, and didn't think of my illness. Thought, I haven't got epilepsy anymore. It's completely controlled. And I went ahead and I just ate 3 eggs in the morning and a steak at night. And I did that I was coming to the end, actually. I think I was on like the 22nd day, and 22 days of just steak and eggs. You'll notice that something that's lacking in that diet is salt. Well, I didn't actually know that I needed to have more salt with my epilepsy tablets. And I didn't take that into consideration at all. I was just thinking, this is, and it was really good. It did work for me in the way that it made me feel really great every day. I cut carbs and sugar out of my diet completely. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, I wake up in a pool of blood, and I'm left questioning what's happened.
Yeah.
I thought this illness had gone. And I think it was, a lack of thought about that we're all different. And actually, and what my message is really here with this part of it really is, I know that all of us as entrepreneurs are listening to lots of audiobooks, and we're looking at all the success stories on social media. But we have to remember we're all individual, and we have to take that into consideration. And it's really important that we take care of ourselves and don't jump in and do what the Joneses are doing because we think it's going to bring the same success, because we're all so different and we need to find our own way. Yeah. And we need to bring our illnesses, our problems, our obstacles in life, and see how we can turn them into opportunities, not the way that the Joneses are doing it.
What a great point, Leo. I mean, that is well said. It's so true. Like, I kind of think about that for myself as a coach now, an authority in the web design world, is I don't necessarily want everybody to do exactly what I've done. Even though, you got the same mic as I got because I recommended it. That stuff's cool. But when it comes to like a diet or something, you even implemented a new morning routine where you're getting up super early and you have a family, you have little ones. I mean, there's a lot of changes going on. And what worked for some people with that didn't have your condition. So it's a really great point that just because it works for somebody, maybe you can take some encouragement and inspiration from that, but it doesn't mean that you should necessarily do the exact same thing, because like you said, you are a different person. Mm-hmm. We're all different people. We don't have to do exactly what somebody else did. I think that's a really valuable thought on every level in life and in business, because this diet that I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it's intriguing, but I told you before we went live as well, I've personally realized I just have to listen to my body and myself with what's going to work. And I know you're in the middle of that right now, with whether it's diet changes or scheduling or whatever it looks like, you have to work around your life. And when I became a father, I'm sure you can relate to this. You kind of feel like you're a step behind other entrepreneurs who don't have a family because sure, they can get up early and work and crush and everything. And then I realized, first of all, I felt like if I was hanging out with my girls, I felt like I should have been working. And then it dawned on me, you know what? I don't want to miss these years. I don't want to miss these opportunities. I'm not that entrepreneur who doesn't have a family and is living by the beach and is, that's not my life, and that's all right. Yeah. That would be cool. I want to go to the beach, but we'll do it on a vacation. Like I live in Columbus, Ohio. It's snowing right now, and I'm going to play with my girls in the morning instead of clocking in super early. So there's those elements. I say all that to say, hopefully this is some encouragement that just because you are in your own situation, it doesn't mean that you have to be exactly like another entrepreneur who is looking like they're quote unquote crushing it. And it sounds like you're going through that right now, right, Leo? With really being careful of what you're taking in and what you're applying. Is that fair to say?
It's a great point. And I think it just reminds us as well that we're always learning in so many different ways. You know what you said about the family side of things. There's a perspective of that, and I've actually learned a new perspective on that. It's actually pretty much, it's why I have followed you for the past however long I've followed you, a couple of years, and it's why I've actually got my business off the ground so fast. It's because it's actually turned into an opportunity. That obstacle, which these young, rich, successful people may see as an obstacle to have a family and they want to get rich first. Well, actually, that can be our biggest opportunity. And it depends how we look at it. Because when we've got kiddies, you know this, Josh, there's more than, we've got the risk of not being able to provide for those kiddies. And it becomes more enjoyable working, knowing that work that we're putting our heart into is what's feeding our kiddies that are growing up. And it kind of pushes us to work in a different way. I've seen it as a huge opportunity. And when I really got serious about all this business was when I started having a family. And that was in 2018 when I had my first child. And I've now got my third child on the way. And I'm feeling even more pushed because he's due in April. And we can't mess around. We've got to do this. We've got to invest in ourselves. We've got to take this business seriously. And for years, I was messing around freelancing, making websites, and I never invested in any courses. I never invested in any education for myself. And it was only actually when I got married and I thought from this whole business perspective that I started investing in courses and educating myself. And that was how I got to be more valuable and to up my prices. And when things really started going well, Josh. So.
Well said, man. That's a perfect example of this topic of turning an obstacle into an opportunity, which sounds kind of weird to, say your kids and family are obstacles, but that's how I thought before I became a parent. I was like, how am I going to...
I've heard it described as that.
Yeah. It's like, you feel like, how am I going to get so much done, or how am I going to work as much as I am now when I have kids? And what everyone finds out is when you have kids, the kid effect is real. That's when you really start making money, because it gives you this drive that you can't find until you have the responsibility of that. And I never felt daunted or overwhelmed. If anything, I just felt encouraged, because like you said, there's much more meaning to it. Because let's be honest, if you're, everyone's life is different. I know I have a lot of students who are single and just want to have their own business for travel, and that's cool too. Just speaking as a parent though, it definitely adds a whole nother level of meaning and kind of gumption into your business, because it doesn't mean that you're going to be cutthroat and a slimy business person, but you are going to be more confident. You're going to be more assertive, and you're just going to get stuff done. Whereas if you don't have that push behind you, and there's a lot of different pushes and pulls in life, but the kid and the family thing is a big thing where I want to encourage, particularly people who are not parents yet and they're like terrified of becoming parents and staying productive. Leo and I are both examples of two dudes who started crushing it really when we had families, because I was the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, I was making a good living before we had kids, but once we had our first, that's when things really turned around. And that's when same here. I dove into more courses. I realized that my time was more important than anything. So same mentality that you had, Leo, which is why I was so pumped to have you come through my courses, is you realize whatever's going to get you from point A to point B faster, that's what you need to do. Yeah. And that's what's worth your time. So I love that mindset,
it's not a cost,
man.
It's an investment.
Yes. Yeah. Not a cost. It's an investment. And you like practically you took your business from, you were doing websites for like around $500. And originally we were going to talk about that. Maybe we'll do another podcast soon about that, because now you're charging, thousands of dollars for your sites.
That'd be awesome.
What are you, before we dive into, because I want to talk about where your mindset is after having this seizure, but practically for your business, what are some of the things that, just while we're on the subject, have helped you basically 10x your prices? I mean, you told me the month before you landed a $5,000 project. That was probably unfathomable a year ago, right? I mean, what are some of the things you've done to help get your business to this point? Then maybe we can transition to even more so how the seizure is making you rethink how you're going to run the business.
Great question. I'm not going to say it's been an easy ride. It's had a lot of prayer. I'm a Christian. I believe the Lord Jesus Christ has he has the influence over everything that happens, and he leads us to the right people at the right time if we depend upon him. And yeah, well, going from $500. So I suppose what pushed me, and how when I first invested in your course, Josh, what pushed me was not so much the money and realizing I hadn't worked out the figures, and I hadn't worked out how long it took me to make a website and how much I was charging, and was that sustainable for the next 5 years? I hadn't thought about anything like that. I didn't have the business mindset. I hadn't adopted that yet. I was just seeing it as, I love designing. I'm getting $500. This is great. And when I came to your course, I had just gone through a major scope creep.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It was horrible. And scope creep is such a horrible situation to be in as a web designer. Especially when you're passionate.
That'll make you think
about your work.
That'll make you think about business as soon as you get into a terrible scope creep situation, for sure.
And that was a huge obstacle at the time. And again, going with the name of this show, turning obstacles into opportunities, that was my biggest opportunity. If every project kept going, okay, and it was just about the figures, and I was just kind of making it, then maybe I wouldn't have got onto Josh's course.
That's a good point.
And most people who got into Josh's courses, I've been in the community for a while now, and most of them I've noticed come to the monthly maintenance plan course first. Well, I came to the web design business course first. And, I'm not just saying this because I'm on Josh's show, but it actually completely changed everything. Like, it made me think, what have I got to lose? When I came to the module, I think it was just like the second module, and Josh said, loud and clear, go to your website, change up your prices. And it was like, add up your prices right now. And I literally took it. I stopped the video. I went to my website and I changed it for my prices. And then I quickly realized, am I worth this? And it forced me to be worth that. Whatever I upped it to, I can't remember. I think it was around $3,000. I upped it from, I think it was at 800 around there. But then I was selling them for cheaper, just to get the deal. And then I upped it to $3,000, and I thought, what have I got to lose? And immediately my mindset started changing when I upped the prices. I started thinking, how can I add more value? Am I worth this? Am I going to be worth $3,000? Would I feel happy, comfortable charging a business $3,000? At this point, I hadn't thought about the return that they were going to be making on the website, that they were investing in. I hadn't even thought past that. I was just a web designer. As I said, I didn't have that business mindset. And I upped my prices, and I started just doing some organic outreach on LinkedIn, just with some locals. I live on an island in the middle of nowhere. The capacity of the population here is 20,000 just on the whole island. So, it's really hard to find. I didn't think I'd find any deals on the island. You know, I thought I'd have to go to Edinburgh, one of the main cities, and I just sent some messages out to business people that were high up in tourism and things on LinkedIn, and one was led to my website, saw my website at 3,000. And this must have been 3 weeks after, Josh, that I changed up my prices.
Wow.
And he said, I want to meet you for a coffee. And this was at the beginning of lockdown as well. I want to meet you for a coffee. Can you come into town? And I just thought, well, yeah, I'll come in. I came in, we met, and we had our socially distanced conversation about... And I was reading your sales tips on the way. I literally was going into this situation. This is the first time I had my eyes open to how valuable my services were. I thought, if someone's willing to pay 3,000, and I closed the deal. The project went really, really nicely. He's a real A client. That's awesome. He's on my maintenance plan now. He's a brilliant guy, and the project went so smoothly, and he wasn't chasing up. He wasn't lacking trust in my design, which I'd had with all these people who wanted to pay, they're just out to get a bargain, and they don't value a web designer's time and his work and the amount that he's, the sleepless nights that he's had and all that he's put in to get to where he is to design these websites. He just wanted a website that did this job, booked him, got him direct bookings.
Yeah.
And I created this website, and that was the best website I had ever created. And that was not a coincidence. That was because I knew I had to up my game. And taking that step that Josh, and it was the second part of it was just on the second module. It was very early in, wasn't it, Josh?
Yeah. The pricing was pretty early on. Yeah. The challenge.
Pricing and getting clients.
Yeah.
And it was very early in, and I thought, wow, if I've closed, what is the rest of this business course going to do to my company? So it was brilliant. It was really exciting.
That's
and
so awesome,
that was really where and I was like, I'm never charging that little for a website again.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add as much value as I can now to my services so that I'm comfortable to charge that. And from then on, it's been upwards. I've not been thinking about, I've not been desperate to close a deal because I actually value my services. As soon as somebody pays, and I'll say to your audience, Josh, that have a reevaluation of the prices that you're charging, and think about the value that you're bringing to when you're making the website for that client. What value is that bringing them? And when you start thinking down that journey, that mindset of the value of the website and what it's bringing and the investment rather than the cost that it is for them, you'll quickly up your rates, and you'll realize, that actually websites are worth a lot of money. If they're even getting a return on their investment in the first 6 months, then that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. I mean, you figure if a business, let's say, depending on the business model, let's say, a customer is worth $500 and they spend $2,500. Well, your website only needs to convert 5 people, and then they've made their investment back, and then it's all profit from there, barring website maintenance and ongoing work. So it's a good practical thought.
And the websites that we build with WordPress and with Divi, it's an asset. It's not like Wix or Squarespace or all of these pop-up that you don't even own. Mm-hmm. This is an asset for your company. And, being a web designer myself, I would say it's one of your most valuable assets. This is the driving sales force for your team. And if you use this properly, you can scale it up as big as your business is going to grow. Your website will scale with it.
Yeah.
As long as you've got somebody maintaining it constantly and doing those updates each month, keeping up with the trends and building in new pages, this can get as big as you want it to get. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's a valuable business asset.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. I love, man, dude, Leo, that's so great to hear, man. Gosh, I just love hearing. I mean, we've talked about this before. You and I have had a lot of correspondence over the past couple of years here. When did you go through the business course? Was that 19? Or no, that was 20. It was early.
No, it was beginning of lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think it was springtime of 2020. Maybe. Yeah, that sounds about right. So it's been almost a year. A lot of great points you said there, and I want to shift to where your business is headed, and again how this life-changing event is shifting your focus towards scaling into building something that's going to support you and your family. But a couple points I wanted to hit on there. I love the great thought you made about if you do something and you're kind of comfortable and things are going okay, that can actually be a bad thing, because that's how I felt early on. I was doing websites. I didn't have too many terrible experiences. So, and I got pretty good at wearing all the hats and doing everything. So I scaled at a lot slower pace, and I didn't raise my rates for a very long time because I didn't have anyone pushing me. Where you got to that situation where you had some terrible scope creep, which was your obstacle, but hats off to you, man, for overcoming that and making that an opportunity, because you didn't let that discourage you and you didn't stop doing web design. You learned from it, which is key. And then it's like, what an honor for me to hear how the business course helped you reshape your mind that quickly. But more importantly, look, a lot of people have been through the course, but it's up to the people who go through it to apply. Like you didn't just say, oh, that would be cool. Definitely. You actually stopped the video and you went and raised your rates. And that's exactly what I was hoping for. Cause I think that was the call to action in that video, was like, stop right now and raise your rates. And I'll just tell everybody right now listening to this or watching, stop right now and raise your rates just like Leo did, and watch what happens, because it's amazing. I love hearing that. Not only did that practically help you, but the mentality of what that business was, or what that website was worth, made you think about your business offerings, which is super, super cool, man. So what a great practical story about how just those little shifts with pricing and value really put you on a whole new trajectory. So for the past year, you've been building it up, you've been raising your family, you've really done a lot of great things. You've rebranded, you've really got clear on what you do and your call to actions. And now you're thinking about scaling, and let's transition back to this life-changing event with your seizure, man. So now that you've had a year of a lot of mindset shift, and you're really thinking about your business for the long haul, how do you feel about your business now, since you just went through a traumatic experience? What does it look like now? What things are maybe looking differently now? Let me rephrase that better.
Yeah.
How did that reshape how you think about your business now?
So again, I was probably too comfortable, and that can sound funny, because a lot of people, we're spending our money on comfort and trying to be more comfortable, and to be comfortable is a good thing. But sometimes we need shaking up, and I think people that live outside of their comfort zone end up successful. And this brought me outside of my comfort zone again, and it's made me reevaluate things. I was going along and not really thinking very seriously about removing myself from the business so that I can scale things up and bring new people in. And just in this past 2 weeks, I've been having conversations with web developers and assistants, and I'm really taking it really seriously. I've got a whiteboard behind me, and I'm drawing up maps to scale it, a roadmap to scale the business, grow it, so that I can remove myself from the company, because it's very dangerous if the company is relying on ourselves. I realized the other day I had to have 3 days off, and I've got projects on the go at the moment. Thankfully, I was actually ahead of the projects on the projects and not behind, because that would have been a huge thing. I've got a couple of people that I can rely on, and they're really, really reliable, and they would be great to have on hand at that time. But I haven't actually got people in place and been serious about scaling. And now I'm just in the past 2 weeks since I've had this episode, I'm serious about scaling. I'm going to scale this baby up. I'm going to reevaluate all my finances and everything, and make sure that it's really profitable, but bring new people in and make it so that it's not me reliant upon me. And I would rather have quality designers that I'm making some profit on and building relationships with, rather than earning 100% of the profit doing it myself. I've actually got a copywriter, so that was a service that I added in when I wanted to make things more valuable. And he's really great to have. And that just having someone by my side as well in the onboarding calls with the clients and things, that's been really,
it's
really
much
great.
Much less lonely too, isn't it? When you actually have a team with you.
Even just one or two people, you're just talking business, and it's great. Shout out to you, David. And so I'm thinking now really seriously about preparing for if that was to happen again. I can't let my clients down. My clients, this business model is for the long haul. It's an end-to-end service. My aim for my business is to make every client that I have at least a 7 to 10 year relationship.
That's awesome.
I'm not building websites and then just handing them off. I learned a big lesson from that when I was working in a marketing company where we just handed websites off. This is back in 2015. We had no maintenance. There was no long-term plan to stick together and to analyze the site and to keep it maintained, backed up, secure. But now it's completely different. I learned from that failure, and it's about relationships. We don't need massive amount of clients as web designers.
Yeah,
we just need some quality relationships with a client. It is good. Great. I learned that from your course too, Josh, about having the A clients, the B clients, and the C clients. And that's nothing. No judgmentalness. That's not judging where your client. That's just simply a system internally that we can use,
right, and
really helps us in our communications. So I'm looking for those A clients. I want to have quality clients that appreciate the work and that I'm going to be working together for the long haul. And I want to bring in people now that will take over and look after those clients for if anything like that happens again to me.
So fascinating points there, Leo. Look, you've made a lot of progress in a year. Again, you were charging $500 a year ago, and now you're charging thousands on average, which is just freaking awesome. So your mindset was headed this direction, but I love that you said that you got a little comfortable, which is natural. We all tend to drift towards comfort. And you said it, the best things in life are right outside your comfort zone. And that's true in every area of life. And it sounds like, I know you had told me, you were going to scale one day, but I imagine this episode, literally woke you up to the fact that, particularly in your case, it is different because you're more prone to this. Let's be honest, this could happen again. And I'm sure you want to be at the place where if it does, you won't have the stress of everything on your shoulders from a business perspective, right? So did this really just kind of, seal the deal for you that, okay, this is it. Like I am scaling for sure. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Gave me that push I needed. Sometimes I need a little push, I can easily get into just handling the amount of websites that projects that you feel comfortable with, and then even on the sales calls when you are doing your outreach and things, maybe you're a little too comfortable there and you don't close deals that you could have because you're feeling comfortable with this amount, and it just doesn't. When you're too comfortable, I think when you're running a business, not as a freelancer, that's nice. You've got your projects and it's a secure income, but as a business owner, we do need a constant flow of organic leads coming through. So lead generation is a big thing we need to focus on, because for me, from when they come in for a 10-page website, it'll be around 2 months to complete that. So I need to. It's a tricky one because you're not selling a product where you get the money, you get 50% up front, and then you've got to time it nicely and have a nice flow of clients coming through constantly. And if you get too comfortable, you're going to be stuck in 2 months because you haven't been. But now I'm willing to scale it, and I'm thinking about bringing more people in. I can focus on sales now, and that's really exciting.
That is the key.
Now.
Yeah, that's the key for you. That's what I'm real excited about for you, Leo, is over the next 6 months or so to see what you do from a marketing perspective, because that's the area that most all web designers, myself included, dread, was the sales and the marketing. But you do realize if you're going to be every hat in the business, or if you're going to be every role in the business, you're going to wear every hat, you have to be the salesperson. So
Yeah.
If you're constantly bombarded with work, that sounds like a really cool thing, but that can be really dangerous, because if you're just doing the work and you're not working on your business and generating leads, that's really tricky. And those are usually the areas where you have to get out of your comfort zone. That means you're getting better at communication. You're working on sales tactics and working on more value for clients and relationship building, which is a little daunting for a lot of web designers. But I think yourself and myself included are here as practical examples that if you get out of your comfort zone a little bit, amazing things will happen. And I love that mindset, because, and I love how you're taking, I mean, this is the most practical example of an obstacle to an opportunity, because you have, this underlying health issue that you're dealing with. And I'm sure, I can only imagine the uncertainty there. The uncertainty kills me. That's the worst thing in the world for me, is not knowing exactly what's going to happen. So I'm sure this is really making you think through your business, think about how it supports your family, and is much more long-term based. And I think it's very valuable, because a lot of people, we're all different. We all have different situations in life and physical things we go through or whatever. It is really important to think about how your business is going to suit your lifestyle and work for you. That's actually one of the biggest mental shifts that I've had over the past 3 years. And I can tell you have too, Leo, is instead of me just trying to make my business, how can I make my business work for me? Like, how can I arrange it to work around my lifestyle and set us up? And here's the beautiful thing. Everybody absolutely can do that. It's literally all a matter of what's in here, your mindset. It's all mindset.
Definitely. Echo that. Definitely. And you mentioned that in your course as well, Josh, scaling. I wasn't ready back then. I hadn't been pushed. I might actually go through and have a look at what you put in your course back then. I know you didn't go too much into it, did you? Maybe that was intentional. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about scaling back then. It was just, I'm making websites, I'm selling them, and this is great.
Yeah.
But I've definitely had a complete mindset change in the past 2 weeks, especially.
Yeah,
and we're all different. It's not for everybody, is it? Scaling the business up. So,
what a timely question. So yeah, there are some resources for scaling towards the end. We'll link this in the show notes. But I did a series. I don't know if you saw that. I did a series before I ever did a podcast or anything with 9 other Divi web designers. And it was all about how they scaled their businesses. There's still some serious value in that series. It's a video/blog series. It was actually my first attempt at interviewing. So I'll send you a link to that, because that's a good resource. There's a lot of different perspectives, different levels of scaling. But this episode is going to be, I think, 98. And 96, which at the time of recording this isn't out yet, is all about scaling a 6-figure web design business.
Really?
So I'll send you the link early, Leo, for you after this. And then by the time this comes out, it'll already be out.
Sneak peek.
But it's all about scaling a 6-figure business. And then coming up after that, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, but let's just say there's some freaking cool guests coming up in the beginning of March. And it's all about mindset, entrepreneurship, and scaling, working less, making more, a lot of different topics that are going to help in this area. So for you and everyone listening right now who's, thinking about scaling or really wanting to take their mindset to the next level, make sure you keep on tuning in, because there's some awesome stuff coming up. So man, I'm super pumped for you in that. And I'll just say, you're already experiencing it. When you scale, you don't feel so lonely. You don't feel so isolated, because it's not you, it's we. And I found that really gave me a lot of confidence when I brought Jonathan, my lead designer, on, and then when I was working with a bunch of other close colleagues who you all now, a lot of them, it made me feel empowered to add more value. Like, my rates became, instead of me just kind of hoping I was going to provide the value, now it was like, oh, this is definitely worth $5-10 grand, because I've got these people who are helping, and they know their stuff. So I think you'll find that. I think you'll find that as you scale, and as you
will have to up your rates if you scale as well, because you've got other costs, overhead to think about. So that will really force you to up your rates there, and then that might be a good, the breadcrumb along the trail to really think about the value of a website.
Yes.
And again, you know.
Because you can bump your rates up right now in the same as, like I talked about, the price bucket. So if you're charging $1,500, just charge $1,997. Same amount of people will go for that. But for a massive rate increase, that's where, like you said, you have to add the value. Now, the cool thing that I'm pumped about for you, Leo, is that you'll find it's daunting because you have more expenses, and then your profit might not be as much per project. But the really cool thing is you can focus on what you really want to do, and you can grow it. So instead of having, 2 or 3 projects a month and doing everything, you could take on 6 to 9 projects with a couple designers and people helping out, and you can focus on relationship building and any aspect that you want to do. Like if you still want to be in the design role in some areas, you can absolutely do that. Or you can focus on the sales and then focus on marketing and project management, client relationship, circling back around with old clients, which is one of the hidden gems and hidden secrets of successful web design. Because a lot of people tend to think, well, I did their website 5 years ago, I'm just going to leave it be. Well, here's newsflash for everybody. Circle back around with them. Let them know what you're up to. Let them know your new services. Let them know how you can help. And I guarantee you'll close a lot of new projects that way. So I'm excited for you, man. That's a super exciting step in the new direction.
I've got a kind of taste of the scaling up with just adding in a copywriter, because I was noticing how much time it was taking me to do the copy for websites. Like at the moment, I've got 6 projects on the go myself. And what I'm trying to do is do max out myself. And then bring other people in as I need. And maybe the less local projects, I can bring people in that aren't local with a remote team. But at the moment, it's a lot of projects that are really local on the island, and they're really kind of bespoke websites, like luxury self-catering places and things. But I've got someone from England who I struck up a relationship with, David, and he's taken a lot of the weight of, so I can just focus on the design now, and it's actually we're producing better websites because I was doing the design and then the copy, and I can manage more websites now, take on more projects. So that's just been giving me the taste of scaling. Imagine in that times like 5 times 10, that's going to it's going to be awesome, and it's just going to grow as I want it to. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, the really cool thing is you can start focusing in and honing in on your current clients. Like that doesn't mean you need to get 10 clients a month. You certainly can if you want to go about that route, but it means that you could really take these projects to the next level. That's the beauty about web design, especially nowadays, is even the projects you did a couple of years ago, you could circle back around, like we talked about, add more value, and even your current clients, let them know, hey, we're doing more SEO services, or I brought in David, who's my content and copywriter. We can really up your value of your website and get a lot more leads by doing this. So it's a really cool thing. It's very freeing because you can basically do whatever the heck you want, and like you said, focus on your A clients, which is absolutely key.
I've neglected social media a lot. I suppose having Beulah, our second child, in 2020, that was, I really wanted to focus a lot. The first year is so precious. And I suppose I haven't even really gone in hard on the sales, and I've just been doing a lot of preparation. I call it my preparation year, 2020. It was a strange year for us all. 2021 is my year where I'm going to be focusing more on sales and figures and things like that, and making sure that it's actually a real sustainable business and growing and staying profitable. And I've developed my business mindset throughout 2020 and constantly invested in myself. I haven't really spent anything within the business apart from I got a nice new Mac, 27-inch. That was nice, and a new mic and things like that. But all the money from the business just goes back into self-education, because I just realized how important I am. Our minds are just so important. We need to look after these minds and make sure they're continually developing, progressing, and we're applying all that we've learned so that we're seeing the results. And I think that is just huge. We're seeing ourselves as something to invest in, and that's pushed me to scale as well, actually.
Well, that's you're going to free yourself up to be able to work on the business and to learn and grow by scaling. Because there is a point where if you're a solopreneur, you're literally just going to be a hamster in a wheel doing everything. I mean, that's what I found myself. I couldn't scale, or I couldn't really get to the next level until I scaled. It's a little bit different for me just because I had started doing courses and I really blew up joshhall.co when I started really scaling. So had I not had this brand and had I not had the real desire to teach and to do online courses and this podcast, I would have probably really doubled down with what you're doing with your agency and scaling it in that matter. But the principles are the same. You free yourself up to do the work that only you can do and you're best suited for and that you want to do, which is the super exciting part about scaling. The trick is it's out of your comfort zone. I mean, not just saying you, Leo, but everyone. The scaling is out of everyone's comfort zone, and it should be. Like, it's, you know, that's a big decision, but I'm telling you, it's awesome. The best things in life are right outside your comfort zone. So, man, I'm super pumped for you, Leo. That's super exciting. I love where your head's at, where, you know, your focus is. Hats off to you for not worrying about social media during last year. I mean, that's okay. Like, your business is doing fine. You scale it just fine. And you spent more time with your family. I'd much rather that than your profits be up by 25%, but oh shit, you just missed out on the first year of your little one's life. You know, that's the same mentality I have. Sometimes I feel like I should be doing a lot more. And I'm like, you know what? I'm working 30, 35 hours at most a week right now, and I'm spending time with all my girls. So that's much more worth it to me. Even if some parts of my business are lacking a little bit, like that's okay. I'm focusing on the biggest returns, and I want to encourage everyone to have that mindset. I love that, man. And
you hear all of this, hustle hard, get it done, and all this, don't you? But it's just not for everyone. Like, if you've got young children and you want to be there at the beginning of their life, you're working from home and you have the opportunity, like you say, we were talking about this before, we came on here as well, Josh. You mentioned, you know, the healthy balance in life. That is just huge. Like, work out our priorities. Don't get absorbed in business. Don't become, you know, the love of money is the root of all evil, the Bible teaches us. The love of money, you know, money answereth all things, it also tells us. So, you know, the healthy balance, we've got to put family, relationships, and you know, these things before our business.
Yeah, money
not
is
be absorbed.
Money is interesting, man. My mindset of money is completely different over the past couple years, and I don't know. It's fascinating. I want to dive into money more and more, not from a greed perspective, but just the psychology of it, because I mean, years ago, I don't know if I ever told you this, Leo. I mean, I don't know if I talked about this in a podcast, but I used to think if you made the amount of money that, like, how old you were, if you made that amount of money a year, you'd be well off. So if you're 18, you make $18,000, that's awesome. 19,000 bucks, that would be awesome. By the time I'm 50,000, that would be awesome. That used to be my mindset. I had no idea any concept
of 90.
No concept of inflation or anything else. So, you know, the mindset of money is completely different. And I love this. I think this episode was a practical example of how just a couple little tweaks literally changed your mindset of money. Yeah. And it's not a greed perspective. Like, I hate when people view getting rich or being well off as greed. I don't think that's true at all. I mean, there are people who just want money and they get rich and greedy, but I want to have enough money to support my family and do what I want to do in life. And that's not greed. Everyone who has an opportunity to start their own business should have the things they want if they worked hard for it. That is totally fine. And I think that's a really big shift that a lot of people are. Maybe, I think it depends on where everyone is in life, but you do have a shift in money, because if you're somebody who is in kind of like a poverty mindset where you feel like there's never going to be enough clients and you're scared and you just feel like you're not worth very much, you're going to be in that place until you have a mental shift.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's very, very dangerous. And that's how I felt for a long time. I could never have charged, think about charging over $1,000 just like you did. But once you get to that point where you realize it's all about value, and the really cool thing where you're at is you're making more and you're able to scale. Not only are you able to provide for yourself and your family, but now you're giving opportunity to David and other people who are going to work with you. And you're able to give better products for your clients and have better relationships with them. It really is a win-win-win. So I didn't really mean to take us on a tangent of money, but I find it really fascinating and super important to think about, particularly as a lot of my audience are becoming entrepreneurs and business owners from just freelancers. And there's a big difference between the two.
It is an important topic, you know, because if our heart's in it, it's where our heart is, isn't it, really? You know, if we love money, and that's why we work, because we love money, I think that's really dangerous. But if we love what we do and that produces money, And that's just like one of the things that comes with it. And money, you know, it liberates you. I just bought a house in a dream island on the Isle of Lewis, and we couldn't do that if we didn't have money. So, you know, money does change your life. But if you love the money and that's what's motivating you, I'd say that's the dangerous place to be.
Well, they say your heart is, look at your bank account, and wherever your money is going is where your heart is. And that is the truest statement in the world. Yeah, mine is taking care of these girls for sure. That's where most of the money goes to, which I'm all right with. And I mean, it's true. Like, it's amazing what a mindset will do, because I think you just saw, we just went in contract for building a house later this year.
Really
big decision. Talk about getting out of the comfort zone, man. I'll just tell everyone, basically what I made as gross revenue in 2020 is what I want to take home for my family in 2021. It's a big step. Like I'm a Christian as well. I truly believe that you give first. And I'm not saying this out of pride, but I basically bumped our ties up to give what I want to make. And already it's been like a game changer with just the opportunities that have come up. If you have that give first mentality, I say all that to say, when you have money and you're able to build a business, you have more opportunity. You can do more with that money. The worst thing is a rich person who hoarded all the money and didn't help people out and share. That's terrible. That's greed. But if you have the money that you're able to,
about that in the Bible,
right? Yeah, if you have the means to be able to support your family and help others and create opportunities, that's what it's all about. So, yeah. Totally didn't mean to take us down that tangent, but I it's important. It's important here. It's important as you scale, because when you scale, you do have to think about money and you have to think about finances when you scale, because if you don't, it's just literally not going to work. And something that's going to be coming up in a couple episodes here. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. I think I may have already said this, but I've got Pat Flynn coming up on episode 100. Talk about an episode that's about to blow everyone's mind with a mindset shift. That was huge. One after that, I've got my business coach, James Schrampko, who's the author of the book, Work Less, Make More. And it's coming up. I know. I'm so pumped to release it. He even says this, you have to literally write your numbers out on a spreadsheet, because if you are charging $500 per website and you want to make $100,000, remember, you got to pay taxes, you got expenses. You would literally have to, how many websites is that a year? A ton. That's like
a ton. Yeah.
That is,
embarrass ourselves getting it wrong now, but
yeah, you'd have to do a website, like multiple websites a day, like I think 2 websites a day at that, depending on how many days you work. So there it is. Like practically, you do have to write your numbers out. That's one thing that James will talk about in that episode. But all that to say, when you think about scaling, turning these obstacles into opportunities, it does have to be done practical, and it does have to be done a lot of times on a spreadsheet. And I would encourage everyone to look at your obstacles and actually think about them. You mentioned earlier, Leo, you were you were going through the motion. Sometimes when you're comfortable and you're going through the motions, you don't sit and think about what's really going on. So I would encourage everyone right now, as we wrap this up, think about your day-to-day. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Think about some of the problems area. Was there a project like you had, Leo, that was a big scope creep? And learn from that. Up your rates, go through some training, do something that's going to help you avoid that, learn from it. And just look at all these different obstacles that you're going through. Sometimes it might be that you're working so much that you don't have enough time for your family, or you don't have enough time for you to get a walk in a day, or work out, or whatever you want to do. Look at that as obstacles and figure out, okay, how can I make this an opportunity? Maybe you'll stop working at 3 p.m. That was a big thing for me. I used to always work till 5. I was like, what have I stopped? I felt weird if I wasn't working at 5 up till 5. So that was a mindset shift for me. A lot of times I'll stop working at 3. So do something like that. Make opportunities out of these obstacles. I think that's a huge thing. I would love to hear your thoughts as we wrap this up, Leo, on anything else you're thinking about now moving forward as you're pivoting from this mindset shift through what you've gone through.
Yeah. So well, a lot. It's hard to put it all in a few sentences, but yeah, it's growing nicely, this business, but I suppose I need to think seriously about growth and not let myself get comfortable again, really. I've got so much going on at the moment. We're actually going through we've just bought a house, but we haven't moved into it yet. I've got this office here in my rented accommodation at the moment. I've got this baby on the way, and there's a lot there's a lot going on at the moment, and it can be so overwhelming. That's also a danger. Like when we do stop and think about, we might be overwhelmed with the amount of things that we might not really be thinking about properly. When you actually put it all down on paper,
that's a good point. Yeah, because sometimes there is a balance there between getting out of your comfort zone and doing something that's just not practical. That's something we should probably state, that there is definitely a balance there. Yeah,
I suppose it's adding value constantly to the company to ensure that it's growing, and focusing on profit. I'm reading a great book at the moment called Profit First, focusing on the business remaining profitable, keeping up that steady growth, and adding people in, choosing very carefully, and trying to remove myself from the company and just focus more, I suppose, on customer relationships, and really nurturing those customers that I've got, building the relationships up with them, and kind of removing myself out from the design and all of that as much as possible, because it is time consuming, and it can consume you, and it can affect kind of how you look after your clients. Maybe you'd follow up more if you had people on your team looking after that department. So I've realized over this past year particularly, I've gone from a solopreneur more towards now an entrepreneur that's thinking about scaling his business. And I've got a couple of other things in my mind that I haven't, kind of let onto now, but I'm thinking about niching down and currently coming up with a business model on how I'm going to do that. What led me to do that was thinking about who I love working with. How is this job going to be the most enjoyable? Who do I maybe want I know this is far ahead thinking, but who do I maybe want my children helping out? If they take on the business from me. I used to have the business in my name, Rees-Evans Design, and I've just rebranded and it's straight up websites now. But I'm thinking about how I'm changing their life by coming in and providing the service that I do. And it's not just, I suppose I've moved on from the websites that opened up my mind to what comes after the websites. We need to generate leads, drive traffic to this website. And I'm thinking more now about a whole end-to-end package service that I can produce results for the clients, because I'm so attached to the results, and I want excellent case studies of the whole from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And sometimes a website just doesn't do it. It's not like you come in, and a lot of the time I'm spending is educating the client on, now you've got a website, now you need a lead generating PDF. You need to know your customer persona so that we can actually write the copy so that it's really personal. We're going to marry up the content with the design for that particular customer persona. And when they come and they don't have all of that, it is very difficult. So those are difficult clients that don't have the kind of, you'll understand, Josh, where they come and they don't really know what they want.
Yeah.
And you spend a lot of time educating them. And sometimes, it would be so good to have a package where they come in and that when they come in, you are 100% going to produce results from this website. That's my aim, I suppose, moving forward.
Gotcha.
Is results and bringing people in to add more value so that we're 100% going to get those results, and people that can do all the extra things, like maybe focusing a bit on marketing, setting up some email marketing, some drip campaigns for them. And that would involve extra people. I can't do all this by myself.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was going to be easier to scale a business like that. So that's pushed me to think about it.
You can also,
from a scaling perspective,
as you know, have referral partners for a lot of those things that you don't want to take on yet, or maybe not at all. You can just refer those out and take on the aspects that you want to. So that's a beautiful part about scaling. It was kind of cool. I just saw you literally think through what you're about to focus on over the next 5 years, and then you did sum it up.
No notes whatsoever.
You know what? I love that though. I like it. I like when it's real and transparent. So that was actually a good little practical exercise of seeing you literally like try to not figure out how the heck you're going to sum something up. And you did there in the last couple minutes there.
Thanks, Josh.
So there you go. You mapped out your whole game plan there. So I'm pumped for you, man. You can basically just listen back to this and then write out everything we just talked about.
Excellent. Got that whiteboard behind me.
Yeah, there you go. Just re-listen to this and mark that out, because there's your game plan there, man. Super valuable. Leo, dude, thanks so much for sharing some awesome stuff. I know we kind of took some tangents there, but I really enjoyed this talk. I think it's all very relevant and important and crucial to overcoming obstacles and making those opportunities, whether it was like we talked about, scaling, the idea of money, obviously the health stuff that you've been going through. Thank you so much for being transparent about that. I know it just happened, so I figured, I appreciate you being open to talking about that. You're still going through it, but you've really already, I can tell how it's reshaped your mind and really made you refocus a lot of your business, which is going to do you a lot of good. I mean, this was going to probably, it's inevitable with something like that where, it's going to come into play. So now that, you were almost kind of forced to think through it, I'm glad it happened now for you, especially before number 3
Thanks,
comes.
Josh.
When number 3 comes. So I know stuff's about to get more wild, but luckily as you scale, you'll be able to keep on spending a lot of time with family and everything. So man, Leo, this has been awesome. Where do you want everybody go to check you out so they can check out your website?
Just come on to straightupwebsites.com. I've got a really helpful lead generating PDF myself on there. It's a free ebook, and if you come in and scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you'll see the free ebook, and it's on identifying your customer personas. And I put this together myself, and it's got a lot of value in it. And it basically just teaches you how you're going to get the most impactful website. It's got a few methods in there as well to identify actually who you're focusing your website on. So it would be great for us web designers to read. And if there's any of you listening to this that is thinking about getting a website and taking the leap, then that's going to be great to read before. Yeah.
Well, I just signed up for it as you were just saying that. So here we go. I'm excited to check it out,
Brilliant.
man. Yeah. I love your new brand. I don't want to take full credit for the new color scheme, but I'll take a little bit of credit.
I didn't even mention that. That was awesome. Yeah. I for all you that don't know, I reached out to Josh on the side and said, I'm thinking about changing up my brand color palette completely. And he jumped at the opportunity, and he gave me actually my brand color palette. So I completely owe that to Josh. Wow, Josh. So I upped my rates because of you, and changed up my branding colors. So yeah, you're a long-term friend, and it's great to be in your community. Everyone is just so great in this community, and you've led me to a tribe that I really feel the vibe.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. You're talking about my web design club, which it's just become the most amazing little corner of the internet. You were one of my first members, so man, it's awesome having you in there and to be able to coach you more directly. And Leo, dude, so pumped for you. Thanks for your time, man. Let's do this again in about a year and see where you're at,
I'd love to. Brilliant, Josh. Thank you.
Deal. Chat soon, man.
Bye.
Hey guys and gals, just wanted to pop in with a couple things before you head out. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast. I would love to hear your feedback, and it will also help other web designers find the show. Be sure to check out the show notes for this episode. Just go to joshhall.co, click on podcasts, and search this episode number, and you'll find all the links, descriptions, and resources we talked about. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and you'll be notified when the next episode is live. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.